What y'all listening to?
Limelight Highlight Podcast.
Welcome back. Long time no talk. I'm glad to hear and see everybody coming back. For those of you who are, I'd like to start out with saying I dropped the ball last week. As positive as I like to keep it, we all got our highs and lows, and contrary to what many people believe, I'm just as human as you are. Last week was just kind of a low point for me. Nothing crazy happened, nothing bad's going on. It's just, you ever have one of those weeks, you just don't want to do anything, all that stuff. So that's kind of the state I was in. So instead of giving you some half-baked podcast where my heart wasn't in it and I was just dragging along, decided to take a little break, but we're back. And I'm happy to be here to give you more positive news in the world. Now, before we get to that, we got some upcoming events. Our favorite nonprofit is having another great event called Peace and Play Day, a Stop to Violence event on June 27th. And that I, once again, have the honor of sponsoring. So if you're in Philadelphia, make sure you attend. It'll be at Rivera Recreation Center. And if y'all don't know where that's at, it's on 5th and Allegheny. And people from Philly know exactly where that's at. So the purpose of this event actually is to promote activity, opportunity, alternative behaviors, and unity, something we can all work on and something we all need. Throughout the event, they'll have some advocates speaking about their experiences with street violence. There's going to be a DJ. They got free meals for the kids and local organizations tabling the event with plenty of fun activities throughout, so be sure to show up. If you want more details about this event, I highly encourage you to go visit theblockgivesback.org. And while you're there, cop yourself some of their merch, some blockaware, some hats. They got a bunch of stuff there. All the proceeds go to helping the block and their efforts into making our city a better place to be. And of course, last but not least, ladies, have you purchased your tickets to Who Brunch, a women's empowerment mixer, on September 15th? Hosted by Maisha Sky of Sky Butte and Quill Branch of the Queen Corner. There's going to be vendors, advertisers, and speakers for the mixer. And if you want to be inspired or if you want to add to the awesome event, go check out thequeencorner.com/babeswhobrunch for more info. Tickets are only $25. While you're there, be sure to follow the Queen Corner on Instagram at @thequeencorner_ to stay up to date on all who's going to be there and all the events and speakers and stuff like that. So there's plenty of time. No excuses. Go get your tickets. Now on to the show. So a couple weeks back, we had another poll that I put out. I don't know what it was against, but I know humanity won. And that is the topic of discussion that we're going to speak about today. And the actual topic or the article that I'm going to talk about, my wife actually put me onto this. And it's labeled "An Inspiring Army Vet Builds, in quotes, blessing box on his own lawn, for the hungry." All right, so now according to feedingamerica.org, we're going to get into not really statistics, but some numbers. For those who don't know what feedingamerica.org is, it's the largest domestic hunger relief organization. They feed Americans with over 200 food banks across the U.S. and like 60,000 food pantries and services in the country. So according to, feedingamerica.org, 42 million people in the U.S. are burdened with when they're going to get their next meal. If you ask me, that's sad, disgusting, and pathetic to be in one of the richest countries in the world and having a hunger problem, especially with the amount of food we throw out. Like, we throw out more food than we can eat. It's disgusting. And besides that, so anyway, a few weeks ago, we had, there's a 42-year-old Army vet. His name is Roman Espinoza. He set up his very own version of a food pantry right on his own front lawn. Now, my first concern when I read this was, you're going to put out a bunch of free food for people? And as a human being myself, I know how selfish people are and when they take advantage, But I was actually mistaken. So if you didn't know, a lot of colleges actually have their own food pantries because a lot of people who go to school, like college, like higher education, can't really afford it. Why they take it, another reason why they take out all those school loans that they can never freaking pay back at crazy interest rates. And, on top of that, they can't really afford food. It's kind of nearly impossible for some. That's why you always hear those stories about people who went to college and campus and all that stuff, and they live off ramen, that terrible stuff that you eat all day, every day because they can't afford anything else. But anyway, so apparently Roman was going through school and he got this side project and he came across the fact that, colleges did that. And it surprised him that there were food pantries because when you think of kids going to college, you think, oh, they can afford school, they can afford food. I mean, trust me, I was just as surprised as he was. But coming across this fact, according to Roman, he kind of got inspired to build his own pantry. So when he first set it up, he put canned goods in there, just stuff people can pick out and take whenever they need to, for those who do need to. But as soon as he did that, like not long after, everybody in his community actually showed their support by pitching in, putting their own food in there. Not only food, but they were putting first aid supplies and toiletries and anything else that could, help a lot of the people who need it. And eventually it started to be sustained by the community and used by the community. There was no age limit. There was no paperwork required. They didn't even take cash donations. And all they pretty much asked was, if you're doing a little better next time, drop something off to help the other person. Now, this food pantry idea is really good, but it's just a short-term solution to a really harsh and ongoing problem with hunger in America. But it is better than nothing. And a lot of people would just complain and express how people would take advantage, just like my initial thought was, and how they might be right in some cases, but that's why we need things like this. We need more of the community that gets involved to keep those from abusing these aids that they put out and helping other people, It might sound super hippie, but, seriously, if we all work together, we can really help people who need it. There's so many people who live in their own world and they have no idea what it's like to live in poverty-stricken areas. They're so disconnected. They make ignorant comments like, all you got to do is, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, to not even realize that some people literally have no shoes, let alone laces, to pull themselves up and get out of those crappy situations. And it makes me so mad. I know I'm trying to focus on the positive, but it's really hard when you have people making these ignorant comments like, oh, you're just not working hard enough, or, oh, you just want things handed. Like, a lot of those people who say things like that, granted, it's not everybody, I'm not making a generalization, but a lot of people are kind of, they were given things themselves. They didn't have to be in these certain areas, Some people just need compassion. They need guidance. And those are two extremely severe things that we're lacking in poor neighborhoods. So since this guy put up these food pantries, he's had a couple requests from people throughout his community who want boxes of their own, their own food pantries to put on their own lawn. And that just kind of goes to show that positivity can be just as contagious as negativity. That's exactly what I preach every time I end the podcast. I say, pay it forward. And that's exactly what these people are doing. So not only in his community are there now 3 food pantries, or maybe more, because since the article's been written, I'm sure more people are trying to get involved. They're saying that the food pantry is going to stay up for as long as it can be sustained, even through the cold months, especially the cold months when people need it. This is in the area of like New York area anyway. But the difference between that, positivity being contagious rather than negativity, is positivity helps people and improves things overall. It's like I went this past weekend, not this past weekend, last weekend, I went to a place called Coronado to go to the beach with some friends. And for those who don't know what Coronado is or where it is, it's right off of the Bay of San Diego. It's connected by this, this really long bridge. Just imagine a small island being connected by a bridge. and the lowest costing house on this island is like $800,000. So needless to say, it's super upscale. It's got a lot of money, a lot of wealthy people around. And, we went there in the morning waiting for breakfast, or waiting to be seated at this cafe to eat breakfast, because then we were going to go to the beach. It's pretty close. And while I'm waiting, we're waiting to be seated outside. There's this bus stop, and, the bus comes, and, some buses have the letters of where they're going or what bus it is. Y'all know what it is, like in those in Philly with like SEPTA and stuff. So sometimes it'll say out of service or whatever the case is. But this bus said free shuttle. At first I thought, oh, that's pretty dope. They got a free shuttle that drives people around, and it's really convenient. Then I thought, damn, the one place that doesn't need a free shuttle because they're surrounded by money gets a free shuttle. But you got to think those places that in poverty-stricken neighborhoods, for people who probably can't even afford public transportation, they have to pay for the bus. And I know the world isn't fair, but man, like, can we at least have an even playing field for those who actually need it? There's a saying, and I know a lot of people have heard it in multiple situations and stories and movies and whatnot, but the saying is, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And while there are people out there complaining about gangs and projects and low-income neighborhoods, ruining their city, if you gave them a fighting chance, and stop racially profiling or keeping them in this crazy system, this cycle, the overall population would benefit. I mean, I'm not trying to rant more on that, but that's kind of all I have to say about that. But yeah, it's that story. That was our positive story for today. I know I'm kind of highlighting the negative, but as I said in previous podcasts before, sometimes you got to highlight the negative to bring back the positive and how we can improve those things. Now, for our listener good news, this story comes from, once again, our favorite nonprofit, The Block Gives Back. They actually sent me a message tagging me in the story, and it's about a man named P.Michael. Now, for those of you who don't know or never been to Philly, North Philly is like the hood. It's the poverty-stricken neighborhoods we were talking about. And this guy's very active in Philly, in North Philly specifically. He's committed to building a brighter future towards youth while teaching creativity, positive thinking, and life skills through mentoring, social entrepreneurship with his Junior Barber Academy. He believes the youth is the future. So do I. So being impactful in their lives will lead to an enriched sense of being and greater quality of life. And I don't think he's wrong. I think he's actually extremely accurate with that statement. There's a vicious cycle going on, as I said before, in these types of neighborhoods. And the more positive mentors we have, putting in the work, showing kids that there are other ways to help other people and live a better, more meaningful life, in these neighborhoods, the better the neighborhoods will get. That cycle will end. You just need to guide these kids, and not let them follow in the footsteps of a lot of their elders who, to no fault of their own, didn't know any better themselves, and that cycle just constantly comes, Unfortunately, we don't get the attention needed from the government as a lot of other places do, or other things do, But fortunately, we got people like P.Michael and other leaders in the community to make a difference and try to make a difference, and improve as many lives as they can touch. So thank you to The Block Gives Back for sharing that dope, awesome story. And if you guys who are listening right now want to put a name to the face, go on Instagram at @PMichael_ to see the positive that he's doing in his community and learn a little bit more about the Junior Barber Academy. And that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed listening and getting caught up as much as I enjoyed talking. Remember, July 27th, Peace and Play Day. I'll be sponsoring. Go show up, show your support. And ladies, do not forget to pick up your tickets at thequeencorner.com/Babes Who Brunch. September 15th. Say the date. And be sure to subscribe, leave a rating, follow, and comment. It would be greatly appreciated. And if there's a story you want to share or tag me, You can